Hello and happy Wednesday. It is digital host AJ Wuest here, welcoming you back to Before the Four, the live stream where I take you through some of 48's top news stories and then some before our 4 o'clock newscast. Wherever you're watching today, thank you so much for watching and spending a little of your Wednesday afternoon here with me. Now, what is something you used to do when you were younger but don't anymore? That's our 48 Facebook question of the day, and make sure to stick around for the end of today's Before the Four because you all had some really great responses. A couple of those were really cracking me up earlier today in the newsroom, and I am super ready to shout out some of my favorites. But until then, I say let's jump in to the day's top stories, and of course, starting things off with the forecast and the latest in Florida. 48 First Alert Chief Meteorologist Brad Travis is here with the forecast. Brad, how's the weather looking today?
Our weather is beautiful, AJ. Down in Florida, they've been battling all these outer bands of Milton. A lot of tornadoes down there. You may have seen that on social media or other big news outlets on the national side. What we're going to be dealing with here is beautiful weather. There is some good news with the hurricane. It is weakening as that's been expected. It's a little ahead of schedule from the National Weather Service forecast track from the Hurricane Center. The eye wall is filling in. Dry air is going to begin wrapping around, and it's encountering some wind shear. The winds are down to 125 miles per hour. That's still going to create a significant life-threatening storm surge, especially from Sarasota down to Port Charlotte, and maybe even the Fort Myers area. Tampa Bay, not officially out of it yet, but it's looking a little better as we see a slight jog more to the east, but still expected to make landfall as a major hurricane here, Category 3, with winds around 125 miles per hour. Latest guidance will come out at 4 o'clock this afternoon and then continue to track to the east. Here's the latest forecast model guidance we've got. Notice how the drier air starts to wrap around here. There's still going to be a bit of a tornado threat in these outer bands here, but again, the drier air and the wind shear starting to take over. The heaviest rain is going to end up on that northeast coordinate here of the northwest and to north side here of the track of the hurricane. And then overnight tonight, things quietly settle down. Unfortunately, there will likely be a lot of damage with the actual hurricane track. The hurricane force winds extend 35 miles out from the center of the storm, with the tropical storm force winds, which could be as high as, say, 70 miles per hour in some areas, do extend about 250 miles out from the center. Around here, status quo. Beautiful weather. It does get warmer this weekend, highs near 85 by Sunday, but a big cool down, a big cold front, maybe our first frost for some areas as we get into the middle of next week. We'll be talking more about that at 4, 5, and 6.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. And now speaking of the hurricane, a story in case you missed it. One Good Samaritan is offering her home in Coleman for Florida evacuees and their animals. 48's Nick Ballinger with more.
As Hurricane Milton pushes Floridians from their homes, hotels along major interstates are filling up and filling up fast. Hotels as far north as Coleman are already booking up for the week. The manager for Comfort Suites in Coleman says nearly 15% of its guests are evacuees, and they only have 10 rooms left on Friday, and he expects those to sell out.
A couple of them just checked in with our front desk just recently. They walked in, they're just looking for a place to stay on their way, heading up north trying to get away from the storm.
But where can people go if they're carrying special cargo?
Hurricanes are stressful enough. Add in having to care for livestock and animals, it just adds that little extra stressor. But this one, there is a lot of horses on the road right now because it's catastrophic at that point.
This is what Jessica Rosen's property looked like after they evacuated for Hurricane Irma back in 2017. Along with her family, Rosen had no choice but to bring her horses with her.
We evacuated for Irma to South Alabama. Somebody we didn't know, like, just let us come park our horse trailers in his property, and we just kind of hung out.
With Hurricane Milton bearing down on the Florida coast, Rosen took to Facebook to invite people and their horses to her home in Coleman County. But she had a better idea.
That was far enough to try to ask people to come 9 or 10 hours when I knew I could find places closer.
She teamed up with an old family friend who's with the Florida Equine Disaster Response Group to help create a spreadsheet for Floridians to find a place to stay for all types of animals. Rosen hopes this can be just one way to save lives like that family did for her.
Incredible stuff. Thank you, Nick. And now in Huntsville, where police say officers have now located and arrested a man they believe was involved in a hit and run which seriously injured a teenager this morning. Now, Huntsville City School officials identified the teenager as a Grissom High School student. According to police, the wreck happened at the intersection of Weatherly Road and Canstat Drive just before 7 a.m. They said the driver of the car left the scene before officers arrived. The alleged driver, Jared Severance, who you were seeing on screen, was booked into the Madison County Jail just before 2 o'clock this afternoon. The student was taken to Huntsville Hospital with life-threatening injuries, according to police. The student is a member of Grissom's cross-country team, and 48's Daquan Lee is reporting on this situation today, and he'll have details coming up in our 4 o'clock newscast. But now another story that broke today. A now former Lawrence County deputy sheriff has found himself on the other side of the law. Now, Stephen Curtis was arrested by the Winston County Sheriff's Office for driving under the influence of alcohol on Sunday. Lawrence County Chief Deputy Brian Covington said Curtis was fired from the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office after his arrest. Covington said Curtis lives in Winston County and was off duty at the time of the arrest. However, he was driving a Lawrence County Sheriff's Office car during the incident. According to Covington, witnesses saw Curtis hit a mailbox in Winston County and drive away. Winston County deputies later pulled him over and arrested him. Curtis was booked into the Winston County Jail but posted bond the next day. And now a story, in case you missed it. Out of the Shoals, a former Tuscumbia police officer was sentenced after pleading guilty to manslaughter. 48's Aria Pons has the story.
Terry was a great man. Terry didn't even smoke. He didn't even drink. Always jolly, always worked, loved to help others.
Frida Rice says justice has finally been served. On October 2nd, 2022, Rice's long-term boyfriend, Terry Hinton, was hit and killed when he went out to get the mail. Rice was in the driveway when it happened.
I do not have hatred in my heart at all, not even against Jay.
Former Tuscumbia officer Jay Stewart was eventually arrested after being accused of driving under the influence in his police cruiser that night.
I hate the choice he made and the choices he's made. And he made a grave mistake. But with a crime being done and taking a life, justice has to be served.
Stewart pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Stewart was very emotional in court while apologizing to Hinton's family, adding that he, quote, took a good man from them.
He apologized. He wanted to apologize to me because he knew me. We had met over at his mother-in-law's house and talked.
The judge handed Stewart a 20-year sentence. Rice says although she doesn't hate Stewart, she wanted him to serve the full sentence.
Being a law enforcement officer should not be above the law at all. We have rules, we have court, and what are they made for? I feel like we all have to go abide by them.
Well, thank you, Aria. And now in state news. A University of Alabama law student will lead a team of Apache helicopters in a flyover at Bryant-Denny Stadium this weekend. Kelvin Reynolds with WBRC with more.
Commander Kyle Wise is a busy young man, and he'll also play a big role in the pregame festivities before Alabama kicks off against South Carolina Saturday morning. We met Kyle Wise earlier this week, just outside the University of Alabama School of Law. He's a war veteran and a UA Law School student, as well as an Apache helicopter pilot. Wise will lead a helicopter flyover just before the game Saturday morning at Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. He will be the lead pilot with 4 other Apache helicopters behind him. They will fly 9-ton Apache helicopters about 1,000 feet in the sky. Showtime is just 4 days away.
And when I realized that Alabama was going to play South Carolina a couple of years ago, I go, oh, that would be such a good time to be able to have everyone come in. Oh, it's going to be so fun. We did have a crew do a flyover in South Carolina a couple of weeks ago, so this isn't super common, but we do it. mostly in-state.
And that special flyover will happen towards the end of the playing of the national anthem. Your reporter in Tuscaloosa, Kelvin Reynolds, WBRC, 6 News on your side.
Well, thank you, Kelvin. And if you're going to the Alabama game this weekend, leave a comment that you'll be there to see him in action. But awesome story there. Kelvin, you are awesome. Now, in Tennessee Valley sports, the 48 Blitz game of the week this week will be the Battle of the Wildcats in a 5A Region 8 matchup. Scottsboro versus Guntersville. Guntersville remains undefeated, 6-0, as Scottsboro is 6-1 overall and undefeated in region play. Should be a super exciting regional matchup this Friday. But another story, what in the world is going on in national politics? Well, this morning, Kamala Harris is forcefully pushing back against what Donald Trump has called the federal government's botched hurricane response. It comes as the former president is facing renewed scrutiny over his relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin. NBC Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander has the latest.
In the final 4 weeks until the election, Vice President Kamala Harris ramping up her media appearances, cracking a beer with Stephen Colbert on late-night TV, but facing scrutiny for these comments on The View when asked what she would have done differently than President Biden over the last 4 years.
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Later saying she'd appoint a Republican to her cabinet.
That will be one of the differences. I'm going to have a Republican in my cabinet because I don't feel burdened by letting pride get in the way of a good idea.
Former President Trump and his campaign quickly seizing on the comments. Trump listing the border and inflation as issues during the Biden presidency and writing her dumbest answer so far. On Howard Stern's radio show, Harris responding to new reporting from journalist Bob Woodward in a forthcoming book obtained by NBC News. Woodward writes that at the height of the pandemic, Trump secretly sent COVID test machines to Russian President Vladimir Putin for his personal use, even as the U.S. and other countries faced shortages. Harris weighing in.
I believe that Donald Trump has this desire to be a dictator. He admires strong men, and he gets played by them because he thinks that they're his friends.
Yeah.
And they are manipulating him full time.
Woodward also reporting that Trump and Putin have had maybe as many as 7 phone calls since Trump left office. Trump telling ABC News the reporting on his calls to Putin and providing him test machines is false. But the former president defending his relationship with Putin yesterday.
I got along with him very well, which is a good thing, not a bad thing.
NBC News has not independently confirmed Woodward's reporting.
Well, thank you. Now it is that time to get a little spooky. Halloween is right around the corner, and that means things are simply a little bit spookier this time of year. So today I had the chance to speak with author and haunt historian Alan Searcy, who recently wrote a book titled Ghost Stories and Graveyard Tales, Alabama. Take a listen to what he had to say about a cemetery here in the Rocket City. Out of all the places you researched here in Alabama, one of them was Maple Hill Cemetery in Huntsville. Can you speak a little on Maple Hill and what happened there that makes the cemetery so haunted?
Well, the legend is Maple Hill has the Dead Children's Playground. It's a cemetery. It's kind of adjoining the Maple Hill Cemetery back there. And the kids can go back there and play and all that. But supposedly the swings will swing at night and they hear kids, stuff like that. But to me, the coolest thing about Maple Hill, there's a mausoleum there. And according to legend, there's a lady that you can hear rocking back and forth in a rocking chair. There's a young woman, she married the son of a governor. And as she's getting ready for a wedding, it's actually going to be 2 weddings. Her cousin is going to marry her future husband's cousin, her brother. And she got sick. She took some poison instead of medicine when she got sick, and they decided to rush her wedding along. Well, she got married, and then she died shortly thereafter. They buried her in the mausoleum in the wedding dress. And because he wanted to see her in the dress, he put her in the rocking chair, and supposedly she rocks back and forth there in that mausoleum.
Spooky indeed. Fun and creepy interview today for 48 Now. That full interview will be published on our website shortly, so you can hear all those creepy stories from around the Yellowhammer State. But awesome time today. And happy early Halloween to all of those who celebrate. But also, if you're interested in the paranormal, you can purchase his book online. Again, it's Ghost Stories and Graveyard Tales, Alabama. But also, another story, in a few weeks, on October 19th, the 21st annual Liz Hurley Ribbon Run will happen in downtown Huntsville. Yesterday, for 48 Now, I got the chance to speak with our own Liz Hurley about the annual run. Take a listen to what Liz had to say about a run or walk being so effective in bringing the entire community together. What is it about like a walk or a race that just brings people together for such a good cause?
Oh, what is it? I think they know, in this case, I think they know the end result. I think they know, I think it's very transparent. Mm-hmm. They know they're literally, the start of the race is on the same block as the breast center. So they see it all in pink. So they know where their money goes. I think in this day and age, transparency is so important. You know, when you send money off to a mystery fund, you just never know how it's used. And I think that's why it's so successful. I think people gather together for a common cause because they know it's the right thing to do. And I think it's just something positive. I think there's so much negativity, especially nowadays, that this is a great way to get families together, to get kids doing something positive for a good cause. Yes. Helping their mom, their grandmother, or their teacher, somebody at their church, synagogue, whatever it may be. I think they just know it's a great day in October to spend some time walking around. And it's a beautiful, beautiful world we live in case you haven't been out lately. You know, and October in downtown Huntsville is stunning. You know, the sugar maples are changing. People are getting ready for the holidays. There's a chill in the air. It's a beautiful walk through downtown. You get to see your neighbors. We're going to have bands like we did last year on the corners, at certain corners down there. So there'll be music playing, people cheering you on. It's just something positive in what can tend to be a very negative world. So that's what I think they like to do, put in a little sweat equity. And they know it's an investment in their future. It's an insurance policy right down the street.
Incredible interview with Liz yesterday, and you can watch that full 48 Now interview on our website, WAFF.com, right now. But now it is time for the good side. A Louisiana man is turning heads everywhere he goes, and it's all for a good cause. Local News Live correspondent Aaron Dittrich introduces us to Mr. Early Detection.
I call myself Mr. Full-Blown Pink. I said it's all on all the time.
The Mac Daddy of tool trucks is on the move.
Breast cancer awareness on steroids.
At the wheel is one of the most colorful salesmen in the South.
And then here comes a freaking guy that looks like he just put a new fresh pair of batteries in his outfit.
Robert Tolbert's size 12 pink boots.
I get a look.
Make more than just a fashion statement.
Oh yeah, all the way to the booth.
Yeah.
Can't miss you.
No, sir.
I can see you in the dark.
That's right, buddy.
Robert says, why promote breast cancer awareness for just 1 month when you can do it for the entire year?
Howdy! And I'm fantastic. It's not about promoting me. It's not about the tools. It's all about awareness. Here's my pink cow outfit. What's this guy's angle? Yeah. I said, there's got to be an angle.
You never know what you'll find in Robert's closet, and that's a good thing, as he vows to wear pink for 366 days in 2024.
Because nobody's going to go up to a stranger with no pink on and start talking about breast cancer.
I guess you could sell anything.
Oh, yeah.
But I sure am thankful for you.
Yeah. A tool truck may seem like a strange place for people to share their biggest fears. But in October of 2020, Robert encouraged cancer survivors to jump on board. 31 ladies then proceeded to pour out their hearts in personalized Facebook posts.
Immediately, just tears flow. I didn't know what to do. You would have waited. Your family would be burying you by Christmas.
Amazing how when they tell that story, it's a story that sometimes the husband hasn't heard. Turn it over to Amanda and let her share her story.
Amanda Williams is one of those survivors.
It was very emotional, and it was almost like the moment I started healing, because it is such it's a lot of trauma.
Come to the drive and get your dig it.
Robert has certainly found a unique way to put a positive spin on a life-altering event.
If I can get them for 2 minutes, I said, I'll get them smiling, I'll get them thinking, but it's all going to be about pink. And it's been a journey. I'm not even halfway through it yet, but I look forward to every day. I felt so comfortable being an absolute clown that it stuck.
For a man that spends the majority of his day on the road, Mr. Early Detection knows how to hammer home his message.
It's all about awareness. But this is awareness on steroids. I can promise you that, because I'm not stopping. I'm going to keep rolling this thing. 5 shekels! Nutty buddies!
That is so awesome. Now let's head into the stories you're just not going to want to miss in our evening newscasts. An aviation company in Scottsboro helping Floridians prepare for the hurricane. Get that story from 48 Savannah Sapp. Another story you're just not going to want to miss: how to identify scams around the internet asking for hurricane relief donations. That story from 48's Noah Cowell. And finally, will your Huntsville utility bill increase? 48's Callie Neese has that answer for you, coming up in our evening newscast. And that's just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss. Now it is time, of course, for... you got a preview. No. There we are. Here is our question. A little bit of a technical difficulty there. But what is something you used to do when you were younger, but you don't anymore? And you guys already saw a little bit of Christy's comment. Christy Ill commented, eat and not gain weight. That is 100% real. Another thing I've noticed about getting older, when I was younger, when I would watch football, I would scream all the time because I get super excited for football, that is for sure. And I would always scream at games. I recently went to a football game a few weeks ago, and I screamed just like I normally do at a football game. But my voice was gone for pretty much an entire week. So I think that might be another sign of getting old. But Christy, I agree 100%. I cannot eat like I used to, and that just makes me very sad. Either that or my workouts are just getting more and more intense. But Christy, thank you so much for commenting. Diane said ice skate. I used to ice skate as well. Actually, this time last year I was ice skating, but I don't anymore. Diane, thank you for commenting. Ashlyn said refuse naps. Yeah, I'm not doing that too often anymore. Thank you for commenting. David Holcomb said, smart mouth my mom. Never a good idea. Let's just leave it at that. Never a good idea to do that. David, thank you. And then Michael said, standing up without groaning. I feel that 100%. But that is it for today's Before the Four. I want to thank you all for sticking around and spending a little of your Wednesday afternoon with me. Of course, I want to Thank you for watching. You all have a great night.